Welcome viewers. This video is the continuation for 9th standard students unit 1 supplementary reading the Envious Neighbour. Okay, in the first video so far what we have learned is there was a good old couple and they are very generous. They had a dog and they just share their food, kitchens, leftover food with that dog. And one day when they were working in the garden, they took the dog with them. The dog was playing and all of a sudden the dog started barking at a particular spot and wagged his tail violently. They went and dug and they found a treasure inside. When the couple found a treasure, they gave alms to the poor. They gave money to the needy poor. They helped others, and with leftovers they bought fields for them, and they too became rich and lived as a wealthy people. And there was a neighbor for them, one old couple, but they were covetous and stingy. They always want to be very rich, selfish and all. So when they heard about this, they borrowed the dog and they gave delicious food for the dog, but the dog was not ready to eat because still that day they only got beatings and slapping and kicks from the neighbor, but now it is not ready to eat, and it's not ready to sniff anything. But they forced the dog, they dragged the dog, and the dog went to a spot and sniffed, and when they dug, they got filth inside. Okay, so from the first video I didn't give you any meanings. Some of you have requested that you need even the meaning of small word which you find new for you. Okay, now note down the meaning for that. Stingy means miserly people. And there is another word for that, penny pinch, and one who never spends a penny. And obliged means grateful, to be pleased, to be thankful. And curves means to hate or slap. And host means master of ceremony, MC, one who receives and entertain guests and all. When there may be visitors for your house, there may be some person at your house, usually your mom or dad or any other, who welcome them, who gave them waters, drink, and they, who take care of them, and all. It's very good to treat guests, visitors nicely. We should not hide our face and all. We should be like a good host for the visitors. Okay. And next, nasty means dirty, filthy, awkward, unpleasant, and awful means wastes of butchered animals, all the internal organs of animals and all, usually the butcher, they used to bury at some place, and the dog was sniffing at that spot. Okay, now we'll continue with the lesson. We'll read the next paragraph. Okay, now when the good old man saw that the dog whom he had lent did not come home, he went next door to ask what had become of him. And the wicked old man answered that he had killed the dog and buried him at the root of a pine tree. So the good old fellow with a heavy heart went to the spot, and having set out a tray with delicate food, he burnt incense and adorned the grave with flowers as he shed tears over his lost pet. Okay, now the good old animal, he was not aware of that. He was waiting, the dog will return, but he didn't come. So he went to the next door and asked, what happened to the dog? So they said, the person, he was very rude. He said that he had killed the dog and buried him at the root of a pine tree. And the good old fellow, he missed the dog. He loved the dog. Though he had not offered good food, he shared his own food. He loved the dog, and he was very sad, and he even mourned for the dog. So he set out a tray. Usually when we miss someone badly, as one member of the family, when you might have seen, or you might have heard, when the people miss someone, they used to go to the burial place, and they set out flowers and all. So he did, as he considered the dog as a member of the family, and he treated that way even after his death. So he adorned the grave. Adorn means to decorate. He decorated the grave with flowers. He shed tears over his lost pet, and that was very good of him. Okay, so what happened next? That night, when the good old man was fast asleep in bed, the dog appeared to him, and after thanking him for all his kindness, said, "Cause a pine tree under which I am buried to be cut down and made into a mortar, and use it, thinking of it as if it were myself." The old man did as the dog had told him to do, and made a mortar out of the wood of the pine tree. But when he ground his rice in it, each grain of rice turned into some rich treasure. When the wicked old couple saw this, they came to borrow the mortar, but no sooner did they try to use it, all their rice turned into filth. So in a fit of rage, they broke the mortar and burnt it. But the good old man, little suspecting that his precious mortar had been broken and burned, wondered why his neighbors did not bring it back to him. Okay, and now we see that, at night, when the good old man was fast asleep in bed, the dog appeared to him and thanked him for the kindness, that even after his death, he was very kind to the dog. And he said, "Cause a pine tree under which I am buried to be cut down and made into a mortar." Make very sure that you cut down the wood of the pine tree and make into a mortar. Mortar means, even in the picture is given here in the textbook. And mortar is a hollow vessel under which the rice or any food grain or anything will be powdered. So it's a so he asked to make a mortar, and he asked him to use it, not only make it and keep it as a memory, but use it as it were myself. So the old man did as the dog had told him to do, and he made a mortar, and he tried. When he ground the rice in it, each grain of rice turned into some rich treasure. It's turned to be gold and precious gems and precious stones and valuable things. And this also was noted by the wicked old couple. So what did they did? As they borrowed the dog, they came to borrow the mortar, and they tried to use it. As soon as they use it, the rice turned into again filth. And in a fit of rage, that they were very furious, very angry, they broke the mortar and burnt it. But the old man, he never suspect that they will do such things. Suspect means to doubt. He didn't doubt that this man who killed my dog will also break this mortar and burn. He never thought of that. And now it has been broken and burnt. He wondered, he was still thinking, why the neighbor borrowed the mortar, but they didn't bring it back to me. He was very innocent. He was very innocent. Okay. Now, then one night the dog appeared to him again in a dream and told him what had happened. Adding that if you would take the ashes of the burned mortar and sprinkle them on withered trees, the trees would revive and suddenly put out flowers. After saying this, the dream vanished, and the old man, who heard for the first time of the loss of his mortar, ran out weeping to the neighbor's house and begged them at any rate to give him back the ashes of his treasure. Okay, so again the dog appeared in dream and told him that what had happened. the old man didn't know what happened to the motor, but the dog said when he heard the first time, in a dream, that his motor, the precious motor, which gives him treasure, was burnt. He was very sad. And then the dog said that to make sure to collect the ashes of the burned motor and sprinkle them on withered trees. That means dried trees, the trees which is dead and will not bear any flowers or fruit, and that these ashes, when you sprinkle, it will revive means it will come back to life again. And and suddenly put out flowers immediately. Even the tree is dead, if we sprinkle the ashes, immediately it will come back to life and suddenly put out flowers. Immediately it will flower. And when the dog vanished, he heard for the first time and he ran out weeping. He was crying to his neighbor and he said, I miss my dog, and after that my dog gave me this motor. Now I miss this motor. At least, he begged at any rate, to give him back the ashes of his treasure. At least give the ashes of my burned motor. And having obtained it, when he got back, he returned home. Having obtained it, he returned home and made a trial of their virtues upon a withered cherry tree, which upon being touched by the ashes immediately began to sprout and blossom. When he saw this wonderful effect, he put the ashes into a basket and went about the country, announcing himself as an old man who had the power of bringing dead trees to life again. Okay, so now the old man went to the neighbor and begged for the ashes, and when he obtained it, when he received it, he returned home. Now first thing what now you need to remember this. First thing what this old man does, he makes a trial of their virtues. Virtues means skills. And skill, which the dog said that if you put these ashes into a dead tree, with a tree, it will come back to life and immediately the flowers will bloom, it will blossom. And so he tried at a withered dead cherry tree, and it happened, and immediately it began to sprout and blossom. And when he saw this effect, he put the ashes into a basket and he went to the country. Remember this good generous old man went to the country. Country means village, and he announced himself as an old man who had the power to bring dead trees to life again. So he went to the village and he said that I have the power to bring back dead tree to life again. So he went and announced, and he helped all the people over there. Okay. Now, a certain prince, hearing of this and thinking it a mighty strange thing, sent for the old fellow, who showed his power by causing all the withered plum and cherry trees to shoot out and put forth flowers. So the prince gave him a rich reward of pieces of silk and cloth and other presents, and sent him home rejoicing. Okay. Now a prince who heard of this, he called this old man. He thought, it's a strange thing, it's a mighty great thing that some old fellow, he is having the power to bring back. So he called him and he made him use the power, and with that some withered plum and cherry tree, it shoot out and put forth flowers. It came back to life and flowered. So the prince was very happy that he met such person who had the skill, and he gave him rich reward of pieces of silk and cloth and other presents. And he made him rich and sent him home, and he came to home rejoicing. So this old man, generous old man, came to home rejoicing. Happily he came home. Okay. Now as soon as the neighbors heard of this, they collected all the ashes that remained, and having put them in a basket, the wicked old man went out into the castle town and gave out that he was the and gave out that he was the old man who had the power of reviving dead trees and causing them to flower. He had not to wait long before he was called into the prince's palace and ordered to exhibit his power. So again the neighbor, they are repeating the same thing. They collected all the ashes that was left out, and he too put them in a basket, and the old man went out to the castle town. That generous old man went into the country, that is to the villagers, to the poor people. Now the prince called him, but now here he is going to the castle town where all the rich people will live, and there he want to show him that he had the power to revive dead trees. And he did not need to wait long, that immediately was called by the prince, and he was ordered to exhibit, to showcase his power, his skill. So now see, I would just want to give a gyan that we should, here another quality is the good old man. He was not behind rich people. He was not going with all his skill to the rich people. He was not behind money, but he was going to the needy people. See, we should never discriminate, or we should never treat differently the the rich and the poor. We should be equal to same. We should treat everyone equally. That's what we need to learn from this. Okay, now